Hola community, I'm Pablo Vazquez with another episode of Blender.Today Live. New Blender, that's the title of this video. Is it clickbait? Maybe not. Why I think today what we saw last week in terms of update is really gonna change how you use different parts of Blender. So, okay, so maybe it's not the whole Blender that is new, but it's many areas. So Grease Pencil / NPR rendering just got a lot better. Cycles got a few fixes that are really gonna make you reconsider to use those features that got fixed. The compositor, Cryptomat as well, then geometry nodes, then user interface, the nodes editor, and like not only for geometry nodes. So there is a lot to talk about. I'm so happy that you're here because Blender.org is back. So this is a list of announcements that I gotta do. Blender.org is back. Remember last week it got hacked? It got hacked. The website got hacked. The site was some areas were removed. They were re-added over time, but now everything should be working just as expected. So the stories and everything should be back. I think the code blog is still not back, but it will be as soon as possible. So thank you, Dan Travel, for working on it. Thank you, Sergey, also for working, and Francesco and everybody in the community for reporting the issues. So this is super nice that everything should be back to normal and better and greater and more safe and secure. What else? Let's see. What else do I have in the announcements list? I think that it's if you're a developer, if you are a Blender, no, not even Blender developer, but you want to see how Blender is developed, make sure you check out the Blender Developers YouTube channel. It's in the list of subscribed channels, recommended channels of this official channel, and it's just awesome. It's you get to see.
I pressed the go live by accident.
You get to see Sergey and other developers hopefully in the future, but like they really you really learn a lot actually just by looking at it. Just like I know here even found the hey, there is no return.
What?
After there's no else after return.
Guys and girls.
But it ignores it and then goes through the code. So it's like, hey, if I'm predicting forward, then this do whatever.
Let's pretend.
What is a marker?
To be predicted.
Anyway, if you're a developer, this is gold. If you're not a developer, this is also gold because you get to see how things are actually done live. This is awesome. Are other open source projects doing this? If not, they should. It's super nice. And then also for users, you get to see like this is the real deal. This is, you know, these are not Python add-ons. This is actually hardcore code, C++ code for motion tracking and more. All right, we are live. We are live. There is a thread apparently here about the new Blender in Blender.Today where you can ask your questions, and there is no thread actually. So go. No, don't everybody go at the same time. Let's wait for one that will be there once I'm done sharing what's new in Blender. So from all the sections, where do we start? Where do we start? Let's see. I'm gonna up the volume for me. I like to have the music in the background. So there is a whole bunch of sections. Let's start with geometry nodes. Dun, dun, dun. Geometry nodes. So exciting. In geometry nodes, you can manage geometry. You can tweak geometry. You can transform. You can move it around. You can duplicate. You can make distributions. So for distributing already existing objects is great. But now in Blender, you can have your own, add your own objects, geometries from the geometry nodes. So in the mesh category for at the moment, but in the future it's gonna maybe be go into its own category, maybe primitives, but now it's in the mesh for now. There is the regular ones plus primitives: circle, cone, cube, cylinder, Should it be tube? No, cylinder to match the one in Blender. Plane is gonna be renamed to grid, but the rest is all familiar stuff. So you add a icosphere, for example, connected to the output, bam, you have an icosphere. So I had a cube, and now I have an icosphere, and then you can mix them, and then you can add another one. Let's add a, let's see, the other kind of sphere, the UV sphere. So I have a sphere, and now I have a U sphere. And these settings, you can tweak them as much as you like, even after adding that. So this is the beginning of non-destructive primitives in Blender, because in the future, imagine, instead of just doing Shift A and then add a U sphere, that if you click anywhere by mistake, boom, the settings are gone and it's horrible and you want to kill yourself. Well, don't do that, because the future is bright. In the future, we could have, so like when you actually do that of adding a U sphere, internally it could be like it adds its own empty mesh, maybe with this node inside and these settings exposed in the modifier, right? Because we can expose settings in the modifier. That's the whole magic of geometry nodes. So I could have like maybe the segments here and the rings here, and then you basically have you can tweak your meshes as much as you want. So super exciting times ahead. Maybe would this make it to Blender 3? Would Blender 3 ship with non-destructive workflow for that? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that make life of teachers a lot easier? when you do a course, for example, you have to teach Blender, and you have to teach them that don't click away as soon as you open, as soon as you add a primitive. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. Not anymore. So that is just one of the many things that we're gonna see, that we see this week. So undestructible, yes. I'm checking out the chat, by the way. So yeah, that is that's one of the things, the many things that Hans did this week. So Hans Goody has been super productive. Not only that, he pushed this change, so for all the primitives. Then he also made it that when you distribute when you instance an object or instance a collection with objects inside, now in the spreadsheet you're gonna see these objects. You're gonna see the name, the position, the rotation, all the attributes for those objects. Isn't it great? So this will also make it easier and to spot the objects that are there. It's not interactive yet. You can't like click and select those or like apply, do anything. Remember, the spreadsheet editor is still not a edit. Like the edit part of the editor is not there yet, but it will be eventually. But this is awesome. This is just so great. You can see where things are in space, which wasn't possible before, right? I think you couldn't the object or the coordinates of an object. So super neat. You know what? Hans doesn't sleep. He finished that, and then, well, these are patches that are done different times, but they were all added last week, because last week was the moment where Blender went from alpha beacon 1, which is add whatever, to beacon 2, which is fix the already existing things. It's a stage of releases. We're gonna be in this stage for another week or 2 weeks, or mid-April. Another improvement: implicit interpolations to and from the edge domain. What does it mean? Well, after this, it is possible to adapt an attribute to and from the mesh domain, every mesh domain. So mesh domain, like a face corner, a point, or edge, or vertex, and polygon to edge, for example, or edge to corner, or point, or polygon face. In the chat, is this the official Blender channel? Yes, it is. You can tell because I have a Blender logo made of braids. Now, yeah, this is the Blender channel. Look, I got a rocket, and I got a Suzanne like the size of my face. So if that doesn't make it official, I don't know. The other improvement that was done in the geometry nodes department. It's a refactor that was done for the point separate node. Also hands, gee man, sleep. It was on Friday. Okay, he's in a different time zone, but still. A refactor of the point separate node that is gonna fix a bunch of issues where some situations where one of the outputs was empty. So that should be fixed. If you had issues with the point separate node, they should be fixed. All right, this next update, I think I'm gonna enter the pipe because it's a different section. However, this one affects the node editor, not only for geometry nodes, but also for shader nodes, compositing nodes, anything nodes. So let's say you want to see, so okay, I have I hooked this up here, and or let's open something a bit more complex. So the pebble scattering of example file by Simon Themas. Super nice. All right, so okay, I have this set up, right? I want to see the large pebbles, is this option, and then it gets multiplied. So if I want to see what happens if I remove this wire, I have to disconnect it and then connect it. Wouldn't it be much easier if you could just somehow like mute this wire? Well, worry no more, because you can just now Control Alt right click, bam, and it will toggle mute in that wire. All the wires that you select. So bam, all three wires, bam, all three wires, without having to remove it, to disconnect it, to you can just try. Oh, this looks great now here. And this is per wire. This is awesome because you don't have to mute the entire thing. So it's not like muting the whole node. You can just mute individual parts. This is a toggle, by the way. So if you have, for example, this one toggle and you run it again, for example, in these three wires, the the ones on the top are gonna be muted, and this one is gonna be unmuted. Super handy. So this one is not by Hans, although he probably reviewed it. It's by Charlie Jolie. So he's been working on Grease Pencil in the past. Now he's also looking into nodes stuff. Super nice to have it. This patch has been around for a long while. Actually, this patch is the number 2017. I remember there were some discussions. I was involved in it regarding the design, how it should look. But yeah, with 2.8 and the rest, it was a bit delayed. I'm happy that it made it. So when you see a patch from 2017, remember it can be added back. So thank you, Charlie. You're awesome. You know what else is awesome? When there are quality of life improvements. So in this one that I'm going to mention, have you ever had for example, the window small and the name of your, for example, of your data block too long that it would crop it. So for example, let's open this Blender boy. And it actually anywhere in the outliner or in the node editor. So what I mean is that when you have a data block that doesn't fit, like you have a long name, Blender will basically just crop the name instead of like, hey, there is plenty of space here, let me stretch my legs. Now it does. Look, it's awesome. So there is space, so if my name doesn't fit, it will make it longer. So as long as there is space, it will make it fit. It's so cool. It has a limit though. It's not, if you keep it super long, it's gonna be I think up to 3 times the size, the minimum size, I think. But yeah, quality of life improvements. No longer you have to guess or leave your mouse over for the tooltip. not anymore. Now, this one was requested by the Blender Studio, by Healthy, I think, and it was implemented by Julian ISO. So let's give credit where credit is due. Thank you, Julian. You're awesome. This is a commit, and let's start to move into the direction of the another awesome feature that was added last week for Grease Pencil. But first, see this user interface improvement for Grease Pencil keyframes. So let's just do a demo here. We have a demo. Yep. So ever notice how when you're drawing, right, with Grease Pencil, when you're making like a thingy, so the frames in Grease Pencil, when you are in between two keyframes, for example, it was a bit hard to see in the dope sheet where were you, like which is the keyframe where I am. Is the previous frame or the next frame? It can get a bit confusing, especially when you have a bunch of frames next to each other. Well, not anymore, because in the dope sheet here, let me make this interface big, because we can. And look, it's awesome. The shape of the keyframe, it's like the block starts like connected to the keyframe, and then at the end, before touching it, it becomes like this triangle shape at the end. So you know that it belongs to the previous group. So it's small but big at the same time. It's a quality of life improvement. This is super nice. Such a small change, but great improvement. Still happens that the keyframe, I think it's like off, right? I think the keyframe drawing the line is not exactly in the middle, and that is a bit annoying. But or maybe it's an illusion. But yeah, that it has to be fixed. But hey, this is super nice. Such a small interpolation improvement. The next improvement, or like let's say Blender improvement, like entire Blender pipeline change, and this is one of the reasons why I named this episode the new Blender, because the way you use Blender for doing NPR here, especially if you have used other alternatives in the past, like Freestyle, for example, well, now there is a new line art object / modifier. It's a new modifier that applies to Grease Pencil objects. So you can do it manually. You can add a Grease Pencil object and then the modifier, or you can use the shortcut, which is not an actual shortcut, it's a new option in the menu. So go to add Grease Pencil and then choose which kind of line art, where do you want to apply the line art. So if you have selected objects, go with object. But if you just want to show it off with your friends, like if you're at the office, at the studio today, and it's just like, hey guys, look, then go for collection or scene, then it's easier. By default it's using the in front, so it looks a bit weird here, so I need to remove it. I don't know why they enabled it by default, but you just go to the object viewport display and then remove in front. But anyway, here it is. It's only for the viewport though, this option, the in front, and there it is. And this is like dynamic, so when you move around, you're gonna see that it's a bit slow at the moment, and that is because it's CPU based and it's not multi-threaded yet, but it's in the plans. This work by Yiming Wu has been around also for like 2 Summer of Codes. It started with the Land PR project, and now it became a Grease Pencil. And again, this is Grease Pencil, so everything that you love and love more of Grease Pencil, like the layers, materials, everything here, it's the same that you're familiar with. So you can have textures, you can have dots for the stroke, for example. It's just a stroke. Think of it as like a stroke grease pencil with shrink wrap ish, based on all kinds of things, like the contour. If you want to have the contour like this, the outlines, you can also have material borders. So if you have two different materials here, for example, let's say I have a separate material for this section here. For the, yeah, there are two different materials. So for this material, you could have a different a line in between. So line art, and then you can, oh, transparency. This one I still don't know how it is. I don't know if it's in the manual yet. So this is weird. It's 8 bits. This reminds me, gives me memories, you know, like Vietnam War memories of the 20 little squares in Blender 2.7. But I trust the developers that are gonna work on it and make it nicer. So material borders, edge marks, or you can also have specific edges. So for example, if I want to mark a line like here, let's split it in half. I can go into edge, mark freestyle edge, and then it should mark sharp. No, it was freestyle. I had it marked the other day. I compiled it before. Oh, here. Ah, it's in the back. Yes, of course. I need to rotate the guy. Sorry. Sorry, my bad. I was looking around. This is pointed to pointing to the object. So if you're in the camera view, you're not gonna have that issue. I was just looking at it from a different angles. It's not a bug, it's a feature. So look, and because I choose scene, this is gonna be super slow, but it's gonna be all the objects in the scene. If you wanna make it a bit more performant, you should limit it to the collection. So you can limit it in the grease pencil settings. Instead of using scene, you can limit it to a collection. And in this case, you choose, for example, the collection. For example, collection 2, nothing happens. You add an object, and then it will get it. You will get the outline. It didn't update, but there. You give it a little nudge, and it works. Super nice. But how's going the chat? You didn't assign the material though, right? I think I didn't assign the material, right? Yeah, that's when I do live streams, and then I get, and of course I did it to the object that is not in the collection. So now, there you go. Thank you so much, Can in the chat, for reminding me. Isn't this great? There are a few on Twitter. There are a few, if you look Blender line art, there are already some super nice stuff. New feature, wow. Hey, this looks pretty neat. And it works super fast too. It's probably very smartly separated. Or maybe it's low poly and it should work. Wow. Super nice. Good job, Sukumizu. This is so cool. This is awesome. This is awesome. So, yes. I think this allows this video to be called New Blender because it's gonna be used for completely new things in Blender, new kinds of workflows. It's like freestyle but interactive in the viewport, and super awesome and future-proof because it's also developed by more developers, right? It's part of Blender, core Blender, so it's not a separate library, and it's part of Blender, so anything that gets improved in Blender is gonna improve that as well. All right, time to move because another big change in performance, quality of life improvement, and the way you use the video sequence editor, it's about to change due to many things. Let's go one by one. First, proxy buildings. Proxy, the low resolution versions of a strip of a video, it's much faster now. So how much faster? Well, there are some examples here. For example, it goes how it used to be in the past using MJPEG. A 25% size proxy used to take almost 14 seconds, and now 2 seconds. Nice. And it's even smaller in size. A 100% proxy, so full of 21 seconds, is now 8 seconds. And much smaller, 100 megabytes smaller. So super exciting, this. And apparently transcoding VP9 coded resulted in performance and file size as well. That, and the tests were done on a 16-core machine. So oh, sorry, I was showing it in the, well, what, but I was hiding. sorry, these are the numbers. Here, look at the numbers. They don't lie. Or do they? No, they don't. 25%, 13 seconds, 2 seconds in the new system. From 21 seconds to 8 seconds for the 100%. And it looks like I'm blowing up because of the light. This is just excitement. This is not the lighting in my room changing. This is just excitement from the video sequence editor finally getting the love it deserves. But wait, there is more, because this is faster, right? And that means that because it's faster, and many other reasons, there is other things that can be done in the meantime, like automatic proxy building. So if you have enough space on your hard drive, you should be able now to have it's on by default, but now proxy is automatic. So you drop a file, a video file, and it's gonna make a proxy. So let's see if I have a big file. Let's say I have recordings of myself of 1 gigabyte, I think. Let's see. Ahora mismo yeah. So the other day, by mistake, I recorded myself doing a video live stream in Spanish, and let's see how much faster it is. So this is 1 gig, and I'm gonna drop it here, and I can click around back and forth, and it's pretty responsive, right? And it's building the proxies in the meantime. Let me see if you get to see it. No, actually, the window at the bottom, it has like a building proxies time elapse, time remaining. Okay, it's gonna take a while to build the proxies, but it does it automatically. You can always stop it. You can go into the preferences, change it in the file, yes, in system, proxy setup, video sequencer. Here you can change it from automatic to manual, and this will be the old system basically. But I say if you have enough RAM or disk cache, if you have it enabled, I would say just use the automatic. That's what other pros systems do anyway, right? How is everybody in the chat? How do I apply a driver to a collection? What do you want to drive in the collection? Oh, I didn't mention that actually, but the collections now have their own tab. Did you notice in the here there is a white tab here with collection stuff. There are a few settings that I think they have to be renamed. I made a patch for it that I now realize I never shared. I shared a picture of it, but collections are now have their own section, which means this could in the future improve how we handle collections. So we could change the name from here. I think we should have, like in the world settings, that you have the world, or in the object, or in the mesh. I think we should have the same for collections. What do you think? Because we don't have them for view layers, but I think we should. I think we should expose the view layer from up there, also here. I think. Just to make it more discoverable. All right. What else? do I have here? Proxy settings have been simplified. So now the panel itself for proxies is now simplified. It should look much more like less options. Also, it's default 100% by default. The preview size is at the top and it's enabled by default. So very neat. You know what else is neat? Okay. Another change to your workflow when you're editing. I closed Blender already, but the video sequence editor, now when you edit the strips, you're gonna be able to see, when you adjust the handles, you're gonna be able to see the preview of the frames that you're editing. So this is how it looks in practice. And you don't see it because of my face here. So as you transform, you're gonna be able to preview the frame. That is also looks like a small change, but to me it's huge. I'm overexposed. Yeah, sorry. Okay, let me fix it. There. Kind of. Still a bit too glowy. But hey, it's the excitement about this feature. I would like to see like Blender having maybe two views, one for the final and one for the transform for the current frame, for the current edit, or from the media, for example, the media bin. So you can preview the media bin, maybe crop it, and then add it back. That would be super neat. Any modeling modifiers? No, not this week. Anyway, this is great. Thank you, Peter Fogg, for working on it. But he is another one that doesn't sleep, apparently, because not only he made that patch, he also made the improvements on the text strip in the sequencer. Now you can make text bold and italic. Yeah, 21st century, baby. Make Blender text bold and italic. How better do you want it? Do you want it centered by default, or is that too much to ask? It's not too much to ask, because we have Peter Fogg, who also worked on it, and it's now the box doesn't have a shadow anymore. It's only text, which is quite an improvement, small thing. And the text is going to be centered by default. So instead of being like this, that it appears tiny at the bottom, now it's going to be slightly larger and in the center. So you can actually see what you are doing. The position range also now should be better. And there's other patches. Other changes on this patch that you can see. Thank you, Peter. Super nice. Then another improvement. This is actually a change in. This is a bug that some people thought it was a feature. So it has to do with transition between the adjustment between strips when you are adjusting strips. Apparently, there was a bug that it would lead to no image. Basically, a transition effect used first and the last frame of the source strip, so it wasn't really working properly, and some people thought it was a feature, but now it's actually fixed. So if you see something very strange going on with the transition of your adjustment layers in the Blender sequence editor, it's this is now working as it should be. So just keep an eye out in Blender 2.93. And last but not least, there are improvements as well by Peter, again, who is in... I just really like the way Peter works, because he, many years ago, he would mainly make like mockups, but now he's coming up with like full-on patches for the UI or for even more complex stuff, and keeping the video sequence editor all nice and tidy. So this is awesome. This is super nice. well, I mean, yeah, Blender also hired Richard to look into these patches, but Peter is doing it on a volunteer basis, so thank you, Peter. Awesome. Then, all right, I think it's time to hurry up, actually. Cycles. Yes, cycles. First, let's start with the small one. I like literally small. This improvement is a 1% speed up in the render time. This has to do with the reflections, apparently. But yeah, 1%. Hey, Mikael, thank you for it. If we just do this 100 times more, no, 99 times more, 1% is great. Also, it depends on the tests that you do. For example, in this test, I guess it's very minimal, but the more you make use of this function that got improved, it's probably gonna be higher. But the big deal for me, this big deal is another patch by Mikael that fixes a long-standing issue of banned artifacts in dense volumetrics. The picture says it all. So if we go to the bug report, there is... Have you ever had this issue? In smoke, in cycles, like banding, like lines in your volumetrics. Well, this is now fixed. Look at the final result. Soft, super nice. Thank you, Mikael. This is another reason why I said that it's going to change the way you use Blender, because if you were avoiding using volumetrics in cycles, like dense volumetrics in cycles, you don't have to anymore, because in 2.93 it is going to be fixed for you to play with. Speaking of playing with, have you ever used the CryptoMatte node in not crypto, nothing to do with Ethereum and Bitcoin and other environment killing stuff? CryptoMatte, also nothing to do with this matte. CryptoMatte, the standard for compositing, for creating IDs of your scene in the compositor, got improved in terms of usability. I don't know if you remember, but when you were picking like different IDs from the UI, it will have like numbers, long numbers with brackets, and you will have to plug in always the 3 outputs of the render layer node into this CryptoMatte. It was super weird. Not anymore. Now look, it almost looks like a real software now. You can in this demo, you're gonna see that the new CryptoMatte node doesn't require you to connect all 3 items anymore. So for example, if you preview, it's just a matter of connecting the image, or not even, and then bam, you can choose the render or choose another image as source. Here you can just click and color pick from the background, and there is this yeah, super nice, much more handy to use, much more predictable. The UI is even smaller. You can even do it from the images. So the same workflow works if you are using an EXR file, for example, with metadata. So this EXR was saved from Blender, and you can do the exact same thing. You can select. The UI here is a little different. These A and R are not there anymore. It's these icons. It's just pure icons. There is no text. So plus and less. And do you see? Like, it actually uses the name of the materials as IDs. So it's pretty readable. You can even select, like double click, select the hands, for example, remove, bam, it's gone. So editing of CryptoMatte is now much more flexible. And this render is is a test with a file coming from another software. So say for some crazy reason you're using something else than Blender. Why would you? I'm kidding. If you're working in a studio, this is pretty normal. You get the file. Well, the weird reason would be that Blender used as a compositor instead of something else. So you're taking a render from Arnold or Corona, and then you get it in Blender for compositing. Why? Now you can. Cryptomatte works there with renders from other softwares. I'm kidding. The reason I'm joking is because it's the other way around, right? Studios, at least where I worked and seen, and they use Blender for most of it, and then compositing in another software, because the compositor, yes, it could be faster, much faster. Anyway, the developers, though, they are working every day to make it better. Exact like this example. Now, I don't know if you noticed in the video, but it wasn't, when you had the mouse over, it wouldn't show you what was underneath, but now it's fixed. Look, when you mouse over, it has a tooltip showing backpack, showing the name of the material. And I don't know if you noticed, but this is the compositor, and it's picking it from another editor, from the viewer node in the image editor underneath. So, yay. Isn't it great? You know what else is great? Is that I'm coming to an end, or the so-called potpourri section. The potpourri section starts with a fix in performance for the motion tracker. This is related to what we saw before. And actually, in the background, Sergey was still fixing Blender. And this fix is now part of Blender. And it's fixed. How much faster is it? It goes from tracking backward. It used to take 2.59 seconds, and now is 0.82. So from 3 seconds to less than 1 second in this little example. That's a super nice speed up. Awesome. Performance improvements. All right. Another item in the potpourri section is related to joined curves. When you join the curves, now Blender will compensate for different bevel depth in the two objects. This is actually based on a request from right-click select. So in right-click select, a week ago, this was reported. Look at the very nice report in right-click select by Irvan Quadris. Thank you, Irvan, for making it so clear, the issue that is going on. And thanks, Philip, for fixing it. Now it's fixed. Another improvement, if you're doing add-ons, or you use Python, for example, for curves, for making your curve widgets, now the reset view option is exposed in the API. It didn't used to. It was only in the menu and you couldn't expose it. Speaking of add-ons, the collection manager add-on now supports undo. Pretty neat. And the last but not least, visual improvement for the Mac OS Blender users is that the icon now for Mac OS, it looks like this. So yay. All right, I have some time for questions, I think. Let me see if there is any at all. Otherwise, we just hang out. Oh, okay, 23 questions. Okay. By the way, do you know that this file, this render, it's available, the file for this render is available in the description of this video, so you can go get it and play with it. It's open source, open content, open everything. Okay, time to get serious. First question, Kozanagi. Hi Pablo, I hope you're fine. I hope you are too. Are LandPR and line art modifier the same? Well, it comes from the same project. It's two different things. It's a different approach to the same issue, basically, of having lines. The grease pencil modifier, going in the direction of a grease pencil modifier, is much more future proof. But yeah, similar. It's the same developer though. Fasoric VJ, hey Pablo, greetings from Italy. Ciao bambino, come vai? a couple of questions about two main features which would literally change our lives. Do you want your life to be literally changed? In production, we work a lot with OpenEXR multilayers that are sent to our compositor, which uses Nuke. Our biggest limitation is currently all about the data passes that Blender can output. Just to mention a couple, the pass has no anti-aliasing, yes, known issue, which is good for some stuff, but it would be better to have beauty pass with AI. I know there's no world position pass. I know you can easily create one, but it's a separate render, so also the pass to have every pixel position will be awesome. Yeah, yeah, the anti-aliasing one, I haven't seen any patches going around. Maybe there is. I'm not familiar with improvements in that area. The world position pass, yes, you're correct, is not available built in. You can make one really easily, you know that, but it's a separate render. Well, it used to be a separate render until we got shader AOVs. In the latest Blenders, the shader AOV, which used to be only cycles, now it's also available for Eevee. You can use that, right? I haven't tested personally in Eevee. Should work though. In cycles I used it in the past, and now because you can, it's a pass, it's a shader AOV pass, it will come with your same EXR file, so you don't have to have a separate pass. But yeah, I know it would be better if it was just all built in. Any plans about light groups? Yes and no. Yes, as in there is a patch going around, but no, as in it's not implemented yet, and it's in the roadmap, but and it's one of the top 2-3 things that people ask the most from cycles: performance, light linking. That is like the top. But well, this year is 10 years of cycles, so it's about time to have light groups. Let's hope for the best. Remember, in the recently Blender.org, there was a job opening for render engineer. Actually, still open for render engineer. So you can see that the Blender Foundation is actively looking for developers to join and work on cycles. So you can expect cycles improvements for sure. Thank you for a nice comment. All right, next question. Correct. Hey Pablo, will there be support for a game controller in Blender? For example, it would be great for camera animations. Well, did you know that camera animations? Well, I don't know now how. There was an add-on recently released, right? The Virtua Camera add-on. I think. I haven't tested it myself yet, but seems promising. You need a iOS device though. I don't have an iPhone, but I could try it on an iPad. I didn't try it yet. If anybody tried it, please share. But I know people have been using it with. I've been doing like Python scripts with like gyroscopes and with your phone and stuff. So I don't know a game controller, but I've seen people using like Wii remotes or yeah. Let's see. How's the chat coming? Oh no, they're talking about art. What is art again? Come on. Blender is art. Geometry nodes is art. Code is art. Writing is art. Producing is art. Everything is art nowadays. Christian Moga says, hey, Pablo, since there is so much love for the VSE, oh, that's a nice phrase to read. Since there is so much love for the like some years ago, you wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, VSE. Maybe the speaker object could use some of that love. The speaker object. Okay, how many people are using the speaker object? I never get people talking about it, and when it was added, I was so excited. Here's a proposal to actually link the audio VSE tracks to speaker objects, so you could add multiple audio tracks, for example. Let's see. So there is a proposal on how to, from when? From January. Soundtrack in editor. So it's a bug report. I don't know who could work in this area. It's such it's a bit of a niche area. So finding a developer for it is often either too hard or there is someone out there willing to work on this area. And because it's so isolated, that area of the code, it often has like a good chance for improvements. You know, it's like you're in the corner working on a small part of Blender that doesn't touch anything else. Usually there is more that you can do without bothering other areas. Let's see. Pablo Piotrowski says, hi Pablo. In task about post sliding improvements that you commented, yes, Tom rejected it because of UI on top of the viewport. Why is that? Does that mean that no go to HUD at all? Let's see. Yes, I remember this. So yeah, if long story short, this is the I commented, and actually I posted a video of how it works. Yeah, so I was playing with it and it seemed great. Yes, it seemed a bit weird that we haven't seen this anywhere else. Like this kind of widget we haven't seen. So if we're gonna do something like this, either it has to be more generic, it has to be for all kinds of values where you go from 0 to 1 or for percentage. There are more tools than the post sliding tools that could use these improvements. And in a way, if you think about it, right now the way it works, it would place the slider where you have the mouse over. And it doesn't really need to follow to be under the mouse. Actually, if you have this value maybe somewhere in the header or in a place in the UI where it's locked, maybe that would be more compatible with other areas of Blender. I think that's what Tom meant, that it needs to have a more refined design that can work with other areas of with other tools that are not only related to this. Because at the heart of this option, it's just a slider that goes from 0 to 100%, or yeah, just numbers, right? So it could apply to anything, to shape, to blending shape keys, or yeah, pretty much anything. Or from like sculpt mode, mesh filters, for example, that could also use it. So it has to be more general. It's very tempting when you see those improvements to see like, yeah, let's add it to Blender right now. So that's maybe where my excitement came. But it's also good to have someone like Don or someone with the bird's eye view of the entire project to see these opportunities to make something more generic and more future-proof. That it's also part of the Blender language, right? Because that widget didn't really fit the Blender language. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm trying to have this point of view in more things, but yeah, still learning. Vicky Art says, "Oh, it's what time is it? I think I'm over time, so let's do 5 more questions." Okay, quick. Vicky Art says, hey Pablo, sending my love for Blender and its community from India. By the way, do you know that in blender.org/community, there are the Indian community. There you go, Blender community India. It's on the top list here, and it has a bunch of links. They have, I think, a Discord, a Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, super big. So yeah, I have a suggestion for improving modeling by adding presets for Snap 2 options, because it has a lot of options that needs to be changed all the time. Adding presets will help in saving those 3 seconds of time. It might seem less, but for me it's a lot helpful. Please If you have this proposal, please write it somewhere. Make a thread on right-click select. Propose the ones that you think should be there. Get other people to contribute as well to like give feedback on that idea. By the way, this weekend Francesco finished the design, the actual code for the new right-click select app. No, not a phone app, but web app, and it's super cool. It's in development. It's gonna be out as soon as possible. We want to get the new website out as soon as possible, but it's moving. It's exciting. The next question by Stoghost said, hello Pablo, thank you for all the updates. A question regarding geometry nodes. Is there edit node in plans or something that would allow manipulation of data in the viewport? Selection movement, yes. Yes, there are plans for attribute editing, for tools editing of like attach a tool to a node. There are plans for that. So yeah. Timothy, question number 3. Hi Pablo, happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. I'm sure you know that light linking is a highly requested feature. Please, it's on my personal top. Like, I wouldn't mind if cycles was just as slow as it is now, but if it had light linking, it's just would be awesome. Do you happen to know if this feature will be included by Blender 3? I don't. I don't know. Blender 3 sounds huge and far away, but Blender 3, it's really in 2 or 3 weeks the alpha for Blender 3 starts, so there's no time really. So yeah, which developer can we bug to get this done? No developer. Let them. Blender is looking for a render engineer. Brecht is the main developer, but he is already busy with a million things. So let's. They know. Every time, I bet, every time Brecht opens his email, he sees light linking in one way or another. So they know. Let's. It's not as easy as it sounds. There are underlying issues in code that is something that looks small. It ends up being a hack, and we don't want cycles to become the next Blender internal, right? That is a hack of a hack of a hack. So yeah, taking time to do things right. If not, I'm really considering switching over to RenderMan just for this feature. Good luck. Actually, RenderMan is a well, they said that in first quarter, so we're close to that time, RenderMan will release a Blender plugin made by them. So like they worked on it. So you're gonna have a better time working with RenderMan. Next question, Sam. Hey Pablo, not sure if you've seen, but the Entacma guys, mostly known for the high-level Houdini tutorials, have made a few geometry nodes Blender tutorials recently. Cool to see members of other software communities showing interest in the development. So yeah, I shared some of. I didn't know them before. I only seen some of the. I actually shared some of their work with Blender.Today. Actually, if you go to Blender, if you follow Blender.Today on Twitter, you've probably seen it. If you don't follow Blender.Today on Twitter, I will suggest you to do it, because it's probably the only, no, not the only, but one of the few Blender accounts that reshares cool stuff, no advertisement. Well, some Blender Cloud, but it's not even usually content from the cloud. I manage, by the way. But yeah, I share today. I share this the Android 18 from Dragon Ball, using the new line art. Then what else? Oh, I thought I had it. I thought I shared it. No. But yeah, what they're doing is great. Actually, they have some tutorials on animation nodes, and it's great that they are coming. So I should watch some of them to see their commentaries. To see where their struggles are, you know, just to do some more research. Oh no, I closed the to see some user feedback research. Next is the... Okay. Oh no, I didn't vote. Ah, yes. And let's go to the bottom ones because they are posted first. So the first question that was there. Okay, let's do more. 2 more. Hi Pablo, it's awesome. All the work you and the team are putting into Blender. Thank you. I would like to know if the asset with the asset manager, will it be possible to see, for example, all the materials in the scene or all the lights? Because from what I can see, it only shows the things marked as assets and nothing more. Yes, the asset manager is to manage assets. So everything that is marked as an asset, nothing else. For the rest, you have the outliner, or, well, in the future, the spreadsheet editor is gonna be able to show you all the objects in the scene, all the collection, all the but with the values. So, for example, if you want to see all the lights that have more than energy higher than 50, you would be able to, with filtering by lights and filtering by value. It's gonna be there are huge plans for the spreadsheet, so that should be possible. But yeah, the asset manager is for assets. With the layer system, will the layer system of armatures ever be changed to collections? Yeah, sure, absolutely, eventually. But yeah, come on, Blender 2.8 it was released in 2019, so it's only been 2 years, not even, less than 2 years. And the last one, okay, what do you think about speed running Blender? What do you mean, like a video game until you finish it? Or maybe I didn't get the reference. I feel like a boomer now. Okay, time to shine. There. All right, opening a little bit the camera, and time to wrap it up. Sorry to the question that I didn't get to answer, but I'm already past over time, and I'm afraid if I make this too long, people just scrolling and they're not gonna watch such a long video. All right, full screen. How did you like the episode today? Did you have fun? I did. I was so excited during the week, seeing all the changes that were happening. Oh, by the way, did you know that Spa, like, there were so many news last week. The Spa Studios, the creators of Klaus, the movie Klaus from Netflix from last year, remember? Also, they worked on well, Klaus is the newest one, but they also work on Despicable Me. Well, they are hiring Blender people, among other things, but you can find Blender tool developer, Blender technical artist. So yeah, Blender in the industry. It's not industry standard. Okay, time to leave. I hope you had a good time. If you speak Spanish and you prefer to watch this in Spanish, I'm gonna do it in 45 minutes in Blender Hoy, like today in Spanish. If you don't, but you know someone that speaks Spanish, or if you want to learn Spanish, you should also go there. It's just it's the same. Literally, I read the same list, but in Espanol. Nothing. I think everything is covered. No, one more thing. Next episode, Blender Today, of the 29th of March, is gonna be 1 hour earlier, I think. Daylight saving. Europe is crazy. They're doing this daylight saving thing. They say it's for the last time. I don't know. I really hope it's gonna be for the last time, but there will be, I think, 1 hour earlier. So if you're not in Europe, you might have to adjust that. That's it. I will talk to you again same week, same place, same time next week for another episode of Blender Today live. I didn't say it. When is Blender 3 Alpha? in a few weeks. Less than a month. Let's not call it Blender 3 for the time being. People are gonna get too excited and it's literally gonna be the same as Blender 2.93. You know the deal of open source.